Here we are in exercise 7.4 and taking a look at that in your textbook. We need to record merchandise that has been returned to our company. So we need to use the general journal, and we need to look at the June 5th transaction, which was we accepted a return of damaged merchandise from Tiffany Moore, a credit customer, and we're going to issue a credit memorandum, and the amounts are listed there. So let's take a look. I've got the entry built here except for the figures. But let's take a look at what the original transaction was. So the original transaction back on May 31st would have been accounts receivable / Tiffany Moore, paid $918. Okay, there was a credit to sales. I'm sorry, this one would be just sales. There's a credit to sales and sales tax payable for the original entry. Okay, so, and the original document was sales slip 1610. So now Tiffany gets home and she finds that there is a problem with her merchandise. So she brings it back to the store, and of course we've been thinking about this along the way. We don't always have perfect sales in our world. You guys have probably returned things that weren't right. So to switch that around, we need to reverse, especially this first line. We need to reverse the accounts receivable. That's the easy part. Then we need to take out the sales tax payable out of the so that we don't overpay sales tax. And then the strange thing is you don't just debit sales. In fact, you never really do debit sales. Sales is our revenue account. We keep showing that as a credit, but we have to have an account that keeps track of the returns and allowances so that we can make that adjustment when we're working on our net income statement. So to make this correction, I like to set it up like we've got it here. You know you're going to debit the sales returns and allowances. You know you're going to debit sales tax payable, and you know you're going to credit accounts receivable. I start with that one because to me it's the easiest. So we know we're going to credit accounts receivable / Tiffany Moore for $918, giving her her money back. Okay, then we are going to need to reverse the sales tax. So we don't pay the extra $68 in sales tax when we do write our check to the government. So we'll put our $68 there. And then, like I mentioned before, we don't just reverse sales. We have a special account to show how many returns and allowances we have made. So we debit sales returns and allowances rather than debiting sales, right? So that would be the $850. Okay, anytime you have a return and you're putting this into your general journal, you want to put all the information you have available to you. This would be something that would be harder to investigate if you needed to, so you want to make sure all the information possible is there. So continue on with exercise 7.4 and complete the second entry, which is very similar to the one we just did. And moving on to 7.5. 7.5 is a little different. It's not quite so straightforward, and it's just kind of a thinking problem. So in exercise 7.5, they've got a cutaway of a sales journal, and they're asking you to describe how you would actually enter the totals into the ledger accounts. So I found it, I guess, a little bit confusing. So I would suggest looking on page 198, and this gives you kind of the rundown of where the entries go. Now take a look, clear back to page 195, and you'll see just the steps to post the totals for your sales journal. So the first step is to take the total of accounts receivable, put that into the debit column of the accounts receivable, and that would be account number 111. So as you're viewing page 195, you could kind of make a reference to this step. Okay, step 2 is going to be to put the sales tax payable amount into the sales tax payable ledger. Step 3 is to put the sales credit into the sales ledger, account number 401. And then step 4, as I've got it listed here, would be to individually post to the individual customers' accounts the amount into their individual ledger, and then come back to the sales journal and put a check mark there for the post reference. So I hope that will help you on this one. It's kind of generic. Do your best.